I have one other topic I wanted to discuss, which is kind of a quote fun, unquote topic, but also I
Yeah.
think it's a serious topic. So, anyways, I don't know if you saw, but last week there was an article in the, I know you all read the Jerusalem Post, right? No?
Oh, I know what
I
you're gonna say.
I
Yeah.
I see links to it occasionally, like, oh, you got to see this in the Jerusalem Post. Yeah.
Well, there was an article in the Jerusalem Post about the former head of the Israeli Space Defense Program,
Yes.
Haim Eshed, who's
Yeah.
87 now, but he was the head of the Israel's space defense program for like 30 years. And he came out and said there are extraterrestrials. They have visited Earth. We There's a galactic federation of which we are in contact with. There is an underground base on the planet Mars with American and
And
other Earth
aliens.
astronauts. They are working together with the extraterrestrials. Um, Now, I thought that was interesting because it came out on NBC. I saw it on somebody
Oh,
had
don't
posted.
forget that Trump was almost about ready
Trump was
to
about to
reveal
do
it.
it, but they convinced Trump, or the Galactic Federation asked Trump not to reveal it because it would create mass
We're not
hysteria.
ready. Humanity is
We're
not
not
ready.
ready
Right.
because we don't
No.
understand the nature of space travel, of space and spaceships. Okay, now I just thought this was interesting in itself. It didn't get a lot of coverage other than the NBC thing got a lot of was but didn't get covered in a lot of the other networks in a major way. Anyways, I thought that was interesting, and there were a couple of pieces like in Slate and in Salon. They were basically attacking um, this this guy, saying that this guy's 87. I mean, his ideas are just patently ridiculous. It doesn't warrant further investigation. And I can actually put up some quotes there from these articles. So it was from a Hebrew article, and I'm not sure my Hebrew is not great. Yediot Aharonot newspaper, and then they took excerpts from that article and put them in the Jerusalem Post. And uh, it says the aliens wish to research and understand the fabric of the universe, underground base in Mars, and that we have to evolve to understand what space and spaceships are, and that basically he felt like he had nothing to lose at his age. And this guy he's 87, but he's extremely cogent and aware, and it doesn't seem like he's senile at all. I mean, he seems like he's sharper than our president elect and a lot of other people. Um, so I mean, there's no reason to think that he's insane. It's just but the media coverage was basically um, this. Here's a quote from the well, first the Salon piece said either he's mentally ill or he's lying. They wouldn't even consider the possibility that he's actually saying there's some truth to what he's saying. And the Slate piece by Hugh Mann, just a quote, that's ridiculous. Haim Eshed's carbon-based neurological organ is simply malfunctioning as he nears the end of his pitifully short biological life cycle, and there's absolutely no reason to look into the story any further. Okay. Um,
That's weird.
well, I just thought, okay,
Yeah. Why is
it
that guy
is.
taking it so personally? It's like, half the population probably believes that there is
Well,
intelligent life, and
now I am I don't believe every conspiracy that comes along, but I do think there's a lot of evidence for um, a lot of people have said they've seen evidence, or they've had contact, or they've been abducted. And one of the people is the former defense minister of Canada, Paul Hellyer, he's like 95 or something now, and he is treated as another one of these kooks. But for like the last 20 years, he's been saying that yes, we've had contact with these extraterrestrial species, and they're very interested in Earth, and they're very concerned about Earth
hmm,
because of our path towards self-destruction, and the appearance of the Roswell crash shortly after the atomic tests and the dropping of the atomic bombs in Japan was not a coincidence. That this was actually um, that somehow that note. We had invented some toys that were very dangerous, and they're kind of like want to take the matches away from the baby. Another one is Mike Gravel, who also has given credence to this and said there is evidence that unidentified spacecraft or aircraft have appeared above nuclear missile silos, not only in the U.S. but in Russia as well, and have taken these missiles offline for periods of time. So whether this is true or not, I just think, first of all, it deserves more investigation. Why isn't there any follow-up interviews with this guy and saying, what do you mean by this? Where in Mars is this base? And
Right.
giving him at least, because this guy's respected, he's won all these awards, he's had multiple academic positions. He is extremely, anyways, up to this point has been extremely respected. At least you would follow, it seems to me you'd follow up with, okay, let's give you the benefit of the doubt. Because if I disagree with somebody, I feel like, okay, I want to hear you out why you think this way, and maybe you'll change my mind. I mean, I don't know, but at least I want to hear you explain further. And all we have is this excerpt from the Hebrew newspaper in the Jerusalem Post. And why aren't we going to ask this guy, give us more information about what you think? But it's just like attacking this guy. And to me, it seems like, well, why would you attack this guy and not follow up unless you have something to hide, right?
Yeah. Fascinating. It is interesting that you talk about like the take the matches away from the baby. It's like, well, but we have had bigger and bigger matches since 1945. But it's amazing, I guess, that maybe it's an explanation that we haven't actually gotten burned again, except for building nuclear energy sites in the path of tidal waves and things like that.
Well, apparently he said that there were several instances where they prevented nuclear explosions.
So I'm saying I would think that in order for us to still exist now, with having so many idiot leaders in charge of nuclear weapons for 2 generations at this point, that's that's as plausible as a reason as I can imagine that we actually are, that someone is actually intervening.
I mean, I think it just warrants further investigation. I would just ask this guy, let's get some more details from you about this, and then it will come out, okay, this guy is totally bonkers, or else, okay, there's something there. But the fact that you just shut this guy down and don't do any further research at all, to me, is like, that's suspicious in itself. Why wouldn't you?
So it is interesting why have there been no follow-up interviews, right?
And like the Salon article or the Slate article said, that they okay, so supposedly we have to understand the nature of space and spaceships, and he said this is ridiculous, But on the other hand, quantum physics has demonstrated that we really don't understand the nature of space. For instance, there are entangled particles where you can have one particle, here, and another particle at the other end of the universe, and you change one and the other changes simultaneously. So they're connected faster than the speed of light. Like, the idea of distance
I thought they've essentially done experiments that show that they've been able to do that.
Right. So the idea that we have a 3-dimensional space, and that we have to have propulsion systems to get to Mars or the moon or whatever. Maybe someone else has come out with a better system of transcending the idea of, because space is a mode of perception than an actual reality. I mean, it's reality, but it's part of a bigger reality, and maybe things are more connected than we think. And anyway, I just thought, like, this is really interesting. I'd like to know more about it. I'm not going to just take it hook, line, and sinker as proof, but I would like to hear more from this guy. And why is he just being shut up?
Yeah.
See, for me, I think that, well, first, I don't trust anything that comes from Israel or the United States, because we know about, I mean, when it comes to surveillance and all of this kind of technology, it's pretty much been tested out on the Palestinian people first. It's been their test run, and then they kind of implement it, and they sell that across the world. Their whole security state that they have created, they sell that to countries all around the world. So in that sense, they're well known for propaganda. Again, we can thank Obama and the 2012 NDAA for making it legal for the United States government to propagandize its people in order to combat foreign misinformation. But anyways, so that's one thing. But I mean, my question is really, I don't know what the hell's out there. Like, there's lots that's going on around us. It doesn't even have to be out there in space. There's lots going on around us that we can't even see because we don't have the proper senses to be able to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not negating the possibility of anything, right? But my question initially is, if they are technologically advanced enough to make sure that to kind of be our nannies, and make sure that we don't obliterate ourselves, why do they need us in order to understand the universe? That is just what my question is when it comes to when this story came up. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would they need us? Obviously, they're advanced enough to, take care of us. Then why?
You're
I
saying
don't understand what they would need us for.
why would they need us?
To
Why would they
understand the
need?
universe. Like that's what the military guy said, right? He said that they need us to
Oh, no, no, no,
understand
no,
the
no, no,
universe, and
no,
it's
no, no.
like,
What
I
they're
don't
saying,
understand that.
no, what they're saying is they don't want to shock us by letting us know that aliens exist until we understand, until we're able to accept the existence of aliens.
Is that
Because
what he said? I don't think so,
I
though.
think that's the
No,
implication.
that's not
No.
what he said.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I may be wrong, but I'm
Oh,
pretty
okay.
sure that he said that they're working with us to try to understand the universe,
I think
and
I
that's
think
what I don't
that was
understand.
I think that was in there as well as that we're not ready to.
Oh yeah, the part about we're not ready, yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
100%, that was in there.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, why would they need us in
Oh
that
no.
sense?
Well, I don't
I,
know. I
I
mean,
can't
I
imagine
don't
that
know
either. Yeah.
what their motives would be or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, just go and ask, just have another interview with this guy. I'd like to see. I like to have a.
Right.
I'd like him to be on Joe Rogan or something. Like, just talk for another couple hours about this stuff. Maybe it's all
I
BS,
mean, I'm
and
sure he will do that because
maybe
Joe
I don't
Rogan
know
has
if he
people all
will,
the
or
time
maybe
on
he'll
about
just,
that.
he'll end up having a heart attack, and we'll never hear from him again. I don't know. I wish we would hear from him. And yes, I understand the criticism of. I have some friends, who are more mainstream, and they're like, oh, these conspiracy theories, you're concerned about aliens or 9/11 and stuff. You can spend all your time on this, and it's distracting you from the real issues. And I understand they got a point, but to me, if there were some truth to this, and there seems to be a lot of circumstantial evidence to support this, like, why this would be like this would be huge if this would actually. I mean, there was a New York Times article in December 2017. There was a front page article about U.S. aircraft seeing things they couldn't identify, right?
Yeah.
So that
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so that was like, there and there's also that documentary called The Phenomenon, which I haven't watched yet, but Harry Reid does an interview in there, and Harry Reid's a big supporter of this. So, like, I don't know. I'm just saying, get some more information, and like, it's not untoward to spend a couple of hours to find out more about this topic. And I'm not saying spend all our time on this, but why just shut this guy up and not hear from him again? It seems to me like, I know he's Israeli, and maybe there's an ultimate motive, ulterior motive, but I know the Israeli press in a lot of ways is freer than the American press, like in terms of criticizing your own government or criticizing the Palestinian policy there. So, like, I don't think just the fact that it's published in a Israeli newspaper means that it's necessarily uh,
Well,
propaganda. It
he
might
was an
be.
Israeli general, is why I said that, not because it was the paper.
Right, but I
That
mean, his own colleagues have said, like, he's like, I respect the guy, but this is ridiculous, right? So I mean, it's not like they are promoting it. And what would I don't know what their motive would be to do this, and
I
maybe
mean, you got to remember that we do have the Space Force now, right? And they do need to validate their necessity for that, even though what they're really doing is just using like satellites to be able to fucking drone strike people
right,
or like
Mhm.
kill people that way instead of,
right. Well, all I'm saying is just give this guy a chance to talk a little bit more. I'd like to hear from him. That's all.
I think
Uh,
maybe the reason why he was attacked the way he was because isn't it like the whole like Streisand effect, right? Where you end up giving somebody more notoriety when you talk about it, when you talk negatively about them, because then more people are like interested. So I'm sure that now this is really driving up like like I said, initially for me this whole thing was okay, so people are already looking at 2020 and thinking, what could happen next? Oh, the alien invasion. That's what everybody keeps talking about. You know, that's like that's what everybody keeps thinking. Oh, 2020 is, you know, the shit show year, so why
Yeah, why
not?
not? Right.
And so again, so this just adds to the heightened drama of, you know, things. Again, in my opinion, that's it.
Okay. I just want to know more. That's all. I mean, you might be right.
Yeah, I was just looking at I knew there was like all sorts of math proofs that basically show that they basically say that like 1 in 6 stars would have a hospitable planet around it, and if you just do the math there within the galaxy, there are probably 10,000
Oh, more, because there's a Drake equation,
societies.
Right?
That's what this is
The
using.
Drake equation,
10,000
which is basically just
societies,
saying that,
based on
out of every star, there's going to be, out of so many stars, it's going to be this and whatever. And there's 100 billion stars in our galaxy.
right.
There's 100 billion galaxies, right?
Yeah, they
So
say
like,
that out of it's like every 6 stars is one planet that's in that sweet spot where the Earth is or something, and
right,
has the right density or whatever,
right,
Yeah.
and maybe Mars was in that sweet spot, a billion
Right.
years ago, because the sun was was different, back then, and maybe there was, and also there's like, for instance, like on Mars, there's all this evidence that there's xenon 129, which is isotope of the element xenon. Now, the only way that's produced is through a nuclear explosion. Like, it can't be. It does occur naturally in small amounts, but it's all over Mars, right? So, like, there's been speculation on why is that there. So I'm just saying, like, it should be investigated. It should be investigated more. I find it, like Sagar on the Hill Rising. I just find it an interesting topic. I think it shouldn't be ridiculed. I think it should be investigated, just like anything else.
Sure.